At the entrance to Shibuya, Yuji runs inside and immediately finds Choso, who recognizes him as his brother's killers. He activates his blood manipulation, convergence, then uses the secret technique of blood manipulation called piercing blood. The ability shoots a condensed cursed energy reinforced arrow extremely fast at Yuji. Yuji is able to block it, but the attack is so fast it nearly pierces completely through his left arm. Yuji tries to close the distance right after the attack is done, and hits him with his divergent fist. Choso blocks the hit, but is left confused by the double impact. As the fight comes to a pause, Choso asks Yuji if his younger brothers left him with any final words. Choso clarifies that he means the two people Yuji killed, and the student laments about what happened with a sad expression on his face. He says that they didn't really have any last words, but they cried before they died. Choso was initially shocked, but is then quickly overcome with rage, causing the blood line going horizontally across his nose to bubble and distort in shape. Choso asks Iso and Kichizu to watch over him as blood behind him forms an intimidating face shaped by his malice. He tells his younger brother to take a good look at their older brother as he prepares to kill Yuji. Choso uses blood manipulation to control the blood outside of his body and shoot his piercing blood attack at Yuji. Yuji quickly realizes it's too fast and his chances of avoiding it are only about 50%. Yuji instead decides to dictate the timing of his opponent's next attack by jumping off the ground. This successfully baits Choso, who willingly fires piercing blood again at Yuji's head just before he hits the ground. However, Yuji drops his upper body's weight all the way down close to the ground at the very moment his feet touch it, quickly avoiding the beam. He then immediately rushes towards Choso and attempts to close the distance between them. Choso commends Yuji and bends the beam down to try and hit him. Yuji though is from the land of weaving and is able to dodge it, then engages Choso at close range. He wants to turn the exchange into a fist fight, but there's still a few floating balls of condensed blood around them. Choso activates Supernova, detonating all of the condensed blood in every direction like a buckshot, severely injuring Yuji's back. Big Bro Choso follows up by using Blood Edge to stab Yuji's foot with a dagger made of blood. However, Yuji surprisingly fights back with his stabbed foot and kicks him away. Then using his athletic ability to flip around Choso's guard, he lands a heavy axe kick. Yuji realizes that there aren't any more orbs of blood and focuses on stopping him from making any more. He's caught off guard though when Choso assumes the stance for shooting piercing blood. Yuji stops running towards his opponent, falling for Choso's feint. Choso then takes the offensive, casting Flowing Red Scale on himself and delivering several successive blows to Yuji. After smashing him up against the wall, Choso uses Convergence and Piercing Blood to try and finish him off. However, our goat somehow has the skin of a freaking rhino and survives. Choso though admits the blood wasn't condensed enough to kill him. Still heavily injured, Yuji starts to realize he can't win, when randomly once again, Mikamaru starts speaking, asking what's going on. Yuji replies with his own question, asking where Mikamaru has been this whole time, but he claims that he's conserving energy because there's something he still needs to do. Choso watches confused, while Mikamaru recognizes the death painting and tells Yuji that Choso is using blood manipulation, which is like pretty obvious. He says the inherited technique is prized within the Keimo family for its overall balance in combat. Yuji doesn't find this info helpful as he just narrowly dodges another shot of piercing blood. Mikamaru advises him to retreat to the bathroom, revealing that he has an idea. Yuji darts into a small hallway, surprising Choso. The death painting believes that Yuji will hit a dead end and skew it up by piercing blood. However, Choso runs into the bathroom where he finds Mikamaru's communication puppet on the opposite wall. Choso uses piercing blood to destroy the puppet, but water suddenly bursts out of every opening. Yuji, who was hiding in a store behind Choso, attacks him. Choso slides back after blocking and believes that was Yuji's last chance before death. He prepares to use the condensed blood floating around him to finish the fight, but the water splashing around the room abruptly dispels convergence. Choso doesn't quite understand what's happened, and honestly it kind of took me a little while to probably get it as well, but he decides to use Flowing Red Scale, stack either way, focusing on controlling all of the blood within his own body to fight instead. Yuji doesn't get the logic behind it either, but he does understand that they are fighting where he's comfortable now, in close quarters. They engage in a quick exchange of blows, with Yuji gaining the upper hand. However, just as Yuji gets the advantage, Choso used his enhanced strength to flick a small blood meteorite straight into Yuji's liver. Yuji is taken off guard because he thought Choso was out of projectiles thanks to Mikamaru's water trick, but immediately he recognizes he's been hit in an internal organ and considers the thought of losing and even dying. However, he stomps on the damn ground and regains his footing. This is like, honestly, our boy's time to freaking shine right here. Yuji converts his fear into cursed energy and clears his mind of all distractions, getting ready to truly die if that's what it takes to bring down Choso. At the same time, Choso laments about how Yuji has only landed 3 significant strikes, yet he is moderately injured from them. He knows using another surprise attack with Blood Meteorite won't work, so he improvises and hardens his entire fist and much of his forearm using the blood inside of his body. By doing this, Choso was actually at risk of spontaneously developing a thrombosis, but he determines that Yuji is more of a severe threat. By the way, thrombosis occurs when blood clots block veins and arteries, which can result in death because it can't flow properly around the body, I'm pretty sure. Yuji and Choso exchange blows once again, but Yuji is able to predict his opponent's movements at close range. He avoids a punch and a sweeping kick before hiding in a bathroom door and locking it. This confuses Choso, but Yuji suddenly bursts through the door and drop kicks him in the face. Choso narrowly blocks with his hardened hand, but Yuji locks his leg around his opponent's head and throws him with a flying scissor takedown. While Choso is staggered, Yuji closes the distance and flashes his right hand as a decoy to land a hard left blow to the body. However, something just doesn't feel right to Yuji, and Choso abruptly cracks his collarbone with a violent hammer fist to the shoulder. This creates a gaping dent where Yuji's shoulder should be, leaving him vulnerable to Choso's next attack. The death painting finishes the fight with a crushing blow to Yuji's stomach that sends him across the room, crashing into a wall. Choso lifts his robe and reveals that he had hardened part of his body Yuji attacked. Seeing this, Yuji falls unconscious, still barely breathing. Choso wants to finish him off, and before doing so, tells the Jujutsu sorcerer to ask his brothers for forgiveness on the other side. However, something freaking mental suddenly stops Choso. I'm gonna leave you all freaking confused until probably the next Jujutsu Kaisen explain video where I go over the next arc. This moment is freaking huge. At that moment, a memory was born inside of Choso's brain. A memory of a past event that never happened. Sukuna watches this from his innate domain, disappointed with Yuji's performance. He calls the student worthless and can't believe he lost to such an inferior opponent. Suddenly, Choso's head begins to throb and he stumbles away from Yuji, abruptly stricken with a headache. He recalls eating peacefully at a picnic table with all of his brothers, somehow including our boy Yuji. They were both eating together with Iso and Kachizu, as well as all of the other 6 brothers who were still sealed. Yuji even passed him some food and called Choso his big bro. So yeah, obviously I joked about big bro Choso, but maybe I wasn't at the end of the day. Maybe big bro Todo and Choso is a thing, who knows. When the memory ends, Choso bends over forward as sweat drips profusely off of his face. He doesn't understand what's going on and asks himself why Yuji was a part of that recollection. As Choso stumbles away, confused, Mimiko and Hanako appear to feed one of Sukuna's fingers to the unconscious Yuji.